I really believe when we're teaching, when we're trying to convey a subject, it's good to see what doesn't work and how using the technique actually makes things successful. So, why are we here? All of you are, to some extent, already doing generative AI, and it doesn't really matter if you believe that AGI is coming or isn't coming. If you believe it's coming tomorrow, you're probably not sitting here, you're probably in option one, sipping margaritas somewhere on the beach. But if you're sitting here, you probably want to learn how to do prompt engineering. It doesn't matter if it's ChatGPT, if it's Perplexity, or if you're building an actual LLM application using RAG and stuff like that. The basis of the new world is knowing how to prompt engineer. Now, doing generative AI in general is very, very hard. A lot of people just go into ChatGPT, they have a POC, they do a small POC, maybe they have an idea, they throw it in ChatGPT and they say, create me this YAML according to the following specifications. And it seems to just work. Or let's say you want to do text to query, which we're getting a lot of lately. You just take it, you say, build me a valid SQL query, you copy paste in the schema, and it just kind of seems to work. In reality, getting all the way from POC to production is hard, and for good reason. If we're focusing on prompt engineering, which I say is the basis for everything, it's hard because I love this example. Every different word that you put into a prompt can make a difference. Now, if you're writing a 65-page long prompt, maybe you're not going to see it. Maybe not every word is going to be as detrimental to what you're doing. But point in case, this is reality. If you're trying to talk about current, and I also love this example because it works both in Hebrew and in English, זרם חשמלי ו-current electric, זרם בים וזמנים עכשוויים. If you just write current, you're liable to maybe get a sentence or a paragraph that discusses any of these. But what we essentially want to do when we're prompt engineering, we want to end up in the subsection of relevant answers. If any of you have heard like the subtopic of hallucinations, basically anything that's not discussing electric in this use case, which is what we're interested, is considered a hallucination, and it's our job to make sure the prompt arrives at the relevant subset of answers. I can teach the model the logic by explaining it explicitly and saying, oh, you know, the A is for fish, B is for beef, and C is vegetarian. It's going to work. It's not really interesting because this is a pattern that we as humans see very clearly. And it's really nice that the model can emulate it. It's much interesting when I don't tell it the pattern and I let it identify on its own. A very good method to do is to use few short examples. And here is the same example. I'm asking basically the same thing. Your task is to classify. And I've generated, I think, 9 different examples of tuples with salmon A, tuna A. And you can see that there's a one-on-one correlation with the A is fish, B is beef, and so on. I'm going to take Gemma 2 and take a small model. And the reason I'm using the small model is I want the examples to fail. And it's become very hard in recent times, and that's a good thing, not a bad thing. It's become really hard to make GPT-4o fail on trivial examples, even 3.5. So I'm taking kind of a lesser model in terms of capability. So, basic technique. Everybody has the acronym for the basic technique. We at Latent love to use the RESPECT one. First of all, because it's highly memorable. And second of all, because I think it covers all the relevant things. So, first of all, role. We'll see an example of that in a moment, but if you just tell the LLM what kind of role you want it to imitate, you'll add a lot of benefit and you'll really change the outcome. Second is example. I love talking about this because many a times when customers come to us, they say we try to do something, but we weren't really able to be successful. I say, did you use examples? And if you haven't used examples, go back, try to use examples. Great. There's obviously a lot more examples that I could go into, but I won't for the sake of time. I hope I've given you a short taste of, first of all, why it's really important to know how to do prompt engineering, and also the various kind of avenues that you can try and progress in order to get it. One recommendation, which is not on the screen, but I'll say, I really recommend starting out by seeing what other knowledgeable prompt engineers have done. And one really good way to do this is with the different various hubs that exist. Anthropic has a really nice hub of a lot of different use cases and the prompts around those use cases. Go inside, see the prompts, try to analyze them, try to learn from them, and best of luck prompt engineering. Thank you very much, guys.